I know there some will be able to resolve. However, as Muriku is saying, if you are able to engage the auditor, because we will be with the auditor when we are writing our final report, if you're able to engage the auditor before we write our report, then some of them would be resolved at that level when we are doing our reports.
Thank you, Chair. I
Yes,
think
yes,
you have
Auditor.
guided well, because as we speak now as an office, we have decided when we are bring the report, the current report now, we'll itemize the issues not resolved by the committee and the Senate. So it's already taken care, and all our reports will be highlighting the issues which were not resolved, so that we don't, that is a direction from the office as a policy, so the issues will not get. And that is why, Chair, as we speak, maybe the second level is, you saw when I was giving my briefs on your recommendation, there were almost 38 recommendations, and only 8 had been addressed, so you can be able to see. Because what we were given in the office, actually what I got is, they were not reference to the documents. They were just a provision, and I gave that the auditor who was in charge, and he looked at them, so he had not seen the evidence. And I think maybe probably because of your main was to send to the Senate. That is why the whole confusion came about. Otherwise, the documents were supposed to be provided for audit for us to be able to verify. And the team was ready to verify the documents. Thank you.
Thank you for that input. I think it would give us a way forward. Members, I think it's not tenable to go on with this meeting. Ordinarily, we would have closing remarks. We can donate our time to who? Senator Spooner, want to say something? Okay. Senator Mugen, Senior Counsel? Nothing. Governor, you want to put something as a closing remark?
Thank you, Chair. We will send the documents to and engage the Auditor General. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Members, our meeting will be adjourned shortly after we leave the governor to leave, and then we do some A or B that was given by the Secretariat so that we finish up our meeting. Governor, you now may leave with your team. The rest of the members and the auditors also, the AOB might not concern you, so that we do something a bit in-house. Then we conclude our meeting. Thank you, Governor, for coming. It's always good to see you here. And I must commend you that anytime you are required by the Senate, you've been coming. So just keep it up, and they would engage between January and March.
Can I see of the governor?
What do you want to see of the governor?
She's my neighbor.
Now you can't request in the middle of a meeting.
No, she's my neighbor.
You can't ask that one in
I
the
want to
middle
see
of an
of the governor.
accountability meeting.
She's my neighbor. I have
In
no...
the middle of an accountability meeting, you can't ask that. Just go. Yes. You don't need to ask for permission to see off the governor, but for us, we don't. Yeah. Thank you so much, Governor. Just remain, the members remain a bit. what was paid maybe too much, or did they base it to a rate for other existing officers who already have a policy?
Thank you, Chair. When we are auditing, we look for documents to support the payments. Of course, one of the key documents will be what was based to this payment was based on, and that was not provided to support the rates paid.
So do we agree that we wait for the SRC response, then the governor takes administrative action so that we can mitigate on this? Because I know it will appear in the subsequent query, audit report.
Thank you, Chair. I think that is the right direction because SRC are the ones to determine whether such rates should be paid.
Okay. Governor, okay, Senator Ambua, you can assist at this point.
Now, what I hear the governor saying, she is concurring with the auditors that perhaps there is no specific policy on this kind of allowances. And because she committed to take administrative action, then in the understanding of the executive, and I don't speak for them, I hear saying that before we take appropriate administrative action, then we need the input of SRC to determine what would have been right or where we went wrong, so that we can now see what needs to be done. I think that's what he is saying.
So can we agree that we wait for communication from SRC to the county? Then whatever communication comes from the SRC, then we can say, okay, give or undertake administrative action, or we let it go.
So, I mean, this is a case where then a query, just keep it in view.
But in the meantime, Governor, you know you're still maybe paying or not paying. Have you stopped paying? What is the situation now?
There is no payment being given to the revenue officers.
Are they still working overtime or outside the actual time?
Now we can't tell them to work overtime, and it will affect our revenue collection targets.
You can't tell them?
We cannot tell them to work overtime because they cannot work overtime and not get paid. So they will just work within the normal hours, meaning then we lose revenue in the long run while we wait for the issue to be resolved.
Let me also understand this. You know, Governor, some of us also benchmarking from a lot of people. We know you as an authority on matters finance. So as we wait to hear from SRC, what stops you from developing an internal policy to guide the payment of the allowances if you are convinced that stopping the allowances will have a negative impact on your collections?
I am convinced that stopping of the allowances will have a negative impact for the simple reason that we come from a rural county. Our revenue is collected mostly after hours. It's market. They arrive at 5 in the morning, they finish at 9 p.m. at night. Some markets start in the evening after 5. So you have to understand the dynamics of a rural setting. Now, our revenue grew in the last 1 year because of the facilitating the revenue officers to stay up to 10 p.m. at night and to also report at 4 to start collecting revenue by 5 a.m. Now, because of this audit query, we've had to stop that, and therefore we're going to lose revenue. That is what I am saying. And we cannot develop an internal policy when the auditors think it is irregular to have our own internal policy, and we have to get the policy from SRC. So we are waiting for SRC's response, and then we effect what the SRC says.
In fact, the query does not include saying that if you develop an internal policy, it's wrong. Because my reading is, they are saying in the last paragraph, however, there is no approved policy to guide on the basis of rate of payment. They have not said you don't develop. In fact, what Senator Mutembei is suggesting is that please develop as we await SRC's communication.
I think the role of setting, unless you tell us to use the existing allowances that have been set by SRC and extrapolate that to the revenues, that we can do. But to develop a new one will be outside SRC and it will be considered irregular by the auditors.
Let me hear this from the auditors. Auditors, is there a policy, a generic policy by SRC on the payment of allowances to revenue collectors?
Thank you, Chair. There are guidelines on payment of officers, and most of the time it is either SDA or lunch or breakfast, but it is based on a percentage of the SDA. So already the SRC has already provided a guideline. So it's a matter of now domesticating the rates provided by the SRC. So it's already.
So if there is a policy that exists, why can't it be used?
It's domesticated because they're generic. So maybe the county of Kirinyaga may need to domesticate that generic policy, then apply it in their county.
No, there are two things. If there's a national policy, you can use it the way it is or customize it. So if it is there, why aren't you using it? If it exists, or it exists but you don't know if it exists. Because the auditor is saying there is a policy guiding payment of these allowances.
Chair, there is a policy on allowances, general. It does not refer to revenue officers. That is the problem. It's just generic.
If it is generic to the extent of maybe identifying the job groups, job group A, you're supposed to get this. Job group B, you're supposed to get this. If revenue officers are in job group B, why can't we just apply it?
Yeah, because then again to the auditors, do you have a challenge with the other staff members who get allowances in the county government of Kirinyaga?
Thank you, Chair. We don't have any problem for other officers who get, but the rates which were used were not based on what is provided by the SRC circular. So the amount you cannot, because you are supposed to, there's supposed to be specific rate, then you apply for the number of days worked to so forth. But now,
But in paying the rates for the other officers, what did you rely on?
we use they use the rates, and that is why we don't have any query. But when you look at what they pay now, the revenue officers, it could be
Use
even
the
lower.
rates as provided by who? By
It could be even
SRC or
lower than-
internally?
Yes. Sorry, Chair. I'm saying when we look at the payments of the revenue officers, they were not based on any.
Oh, we are saying, are there other officers who are being paid these allowances?
Sure, Chair.
Did they give a policy to prove to show how much they're supposed to earn? The other officers.
Yes, Chair.
And that's why you are satisfied.
Sure.
But then in that document, is it a county document or a national policy document?
It is a national provided by the law.
Is it based on grades?
Yes.
So you are saying then the county should domesticate, or you are saying SRC, we could maybe also write to SRC ourselves?
No, Chair.
Yeah.
I think I heard what he's saying is there is someone in the chair to hear this. So, Chair, what I am saying is that there is policy by SRC on payment of allowances, which the county government used for the payment of allowances to other officers. But when it came to the revenue collectors, a different rate was used. And in fact, he's saying that rate could actually be lower. If I heard him right, could actually be lower than what was used. So maybe what to understand why there was a different rate for the collectors from the rate paid to the other staff.
Auditor? Okay, auditor first, then Governor.
Chair, our query, whenever we are coming up with a query, we have a criteria always, so that we look at what is expected. If there's a payment, is it based on the provision of the law? So if that criteria is not provided, of course, it becomes irregular. And that is why we observe it was only at that level of revenue collectors which had issues of irregularities. Otherwise, the rest of
Because the revenue collectors are not captured in that policy.
yes,
They are not captured at all, or you paid a different rate.
even the rates are not based on the formal.
Governor?
Chair, the document is referring to the reason we paid less is because the policy document SRC the auditor is referring to starts at a higher job group than the revenue officers. So therefore, I guess my officers paid them less than what is in the SRC, because the SRC one starts at K, but the revenue officer starts at D, E, and rarely F. So therefore, they give them less. They extrapolated for themselves and give them less. So that's why we need a clarification in this case from the SRC. If someone is below K, what do you pay? The only thing is that they did not pay them more. They just paid them less.
Maybe members, we can't flog this horse further. We can keep this issue in view for the subsequent audits.
View, I'll be asking myself this question. So I have an officer who is at job group K. He's supposed to go to work from Kirinyaga to Nyeri. He must leave at 3 in the morning. He's driven by a driver who is at job group D. So what does SRC expect the county government to do? Pay the officer at job group K, and because the officer at job group D is not captured in SRC, they don't earn an allowance. I mean, that's a quagmire that you find.
Yeah, you can respond to that. I think it's important we know. What happens to the other officers?
If you pay, you'll be in the same problem with the auditors.
How are drivers compensated? They don't get anything. The governor is here and your CEC is there. They must be getting something, at least for breakfast. They have to. They are human beings. Yes? They must be getting something.
You want to respond?
I'm telling you, there's a difference between the pattern and the allowance.
So for that case, the driver will earn a per diem. There's a rate for per diem, but not an allowance. Okay. See, these ones are inside the county. The revenue officers are working inside the counties. But if you're going to have to travel outside of the county and wake up early, then there's a per diem rate. But they do not apply the allowances to those now. I think they did not foresee that you can be collecting revenue at night.
Okay.
But that is a unique situation of rural counties or even urban counties for those who work in the markets.
It may look a small issue, but it's an issue that we need to deal with. Because then, there are officers who will be facilitating other officers to work even within the county.
Yeah.
They will not be able to earn a per diem because they are working within the county. But they are not captured under allowance.
The issues that you are raising are very pertinent, but you're looking at time, and we're saying let's keep it in view. That query has not been mitigated. It would appear in the next report. Yes.
Chair, I know you're moving. The only thing I wanted to say is I haven't seen that query raised in Nairobi and even other urban counties. I don't know what is happening.
It's the auditors who are not doing their work in Nairobi.
And secondly, Governor, you know, there are people who promise a 24-hour economy in this country. And when you want people to work at night, you just say we have a day shift and a night shift. You will be able to deal with the challenges that you're facing, in my view.
Yeah, those are views that you can think about. But why don't we go to 2.2, anomalies in training expenses? Auditor?
Thank you.
No. Sifuna we talked after we had the. So they just remove, So, Auditor, what is still outstanding in this query?
Thank you, Chair. The issue which was still outstanding is that there was a recommendation for administrative action, which we didn't get any evidence on that.
Those are recommendations on? Yeah, Governor?
Thank you, Chair. The relevant officer was issued with a show cause letter to justify why administrative action cannot be taken against them. Annex 4 above, the officers have since committed to adhering to the provisions of the PFM.
Auditor, have you seen that? And that is it satisfactory to address this issue?
The issue here was on the officer did not submit the documents as required on time to the auditors.
Yeah, auditor. What is still outstanding here?
Chair, we were to receive that evidence of that show cause letter, but we have not seen it.
Have you received that show cause letter?
No.
In your engagement with the executive?
No, Chair.
No. Governor, you have issued a show cause letter, but the auditor is saying he has not seen it. They have not seen it.
Oh, the show cause letter was supposed to go to the auditor's office.
Yes,
it's
in those,
attached in
those
Annex 5.
documents showing that you had implemented our recommendations, you are supposed to satisfy the auditor that the recommendations were implemented, so that when we come here now, we leave out the ones that are mitigated, and we just go through the issues that were not mitigated. We would not be looking at this issue if you had given those documents to the auditor.
Noted, Chair. The documents are now attached under Annex 5. We stand corrected. We thought we wait until we bring them to the Senate.
So has the show cause letter been responded to? Because it's against the Public Audit Act for any officer not to give information during the time of audit, and the provision is really stand on the repercussions of not providing information in good time.
Yeah.
Yes, Senator.
I've had the benefit of looking at the annexures. There is a notice to show cause and then there is a response, but I don't know what decision was taken by the management. Whether the officer was formally warned, you issue a notice to show cause, a response is made. So what decision did management make on that matter?
Governor.
The officer is warned. Once they receive a show cause letter, it goes to their human resource file. It's on record. You cannot receive more than, I think, three show cause letters. You would go to the disciplinary committee. So once you have a show cause letter, that is already a step towards disciplinary.
In fact, Governor, for our recommendation, when we say take administrative action, it's because there is a provision of law. So you're not requesting them that you need to give them administrative action or some punishment. It's already prescribed in the law. And maybe legal counsel, can you read that part of the law of the Public Audit Act? If you don't provide information during the time of audit, what is supposed to happen to you? Just go through it so that maybe the ones who are new can also learn, the officers, which is the relevant provision. Auditor, is it all the documents are not there now or they are there now?
Chair, the documents were like the show cause letter I can see in the documents submitted.
No. Even before that, there were anomalies, like facilitation request memo done after the interviews were conducted, no? List of participants and so on. Are they there now?
Chair, but according to our policy as audit office, we rarely accept documents. We don't accept documents after the audit because,
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that policy?
Okay. Legal counsel?
Section 62 of the Public Audit Act, subsection 1 states, 1B states that a person shall not without justification fail to provide information required under this act, or C, 1C, a person shall not without justification fail to provide information within reasonable time that is required under this act. Subsection 62(2) states that a person who contravenes subsection 1 commits an offence and is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 5 million shillings or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 years or to both.
So you had that penalty? You've not had that penalty?
I have had the penalty, but the penalty is not given in the first instance because they provided the documents, just that they provided them late. That is why there is administrative action. That is
So,
not administrative.
yes.
That is legal action.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is
So-
not administrative action.
So, Governor, we are saying you must have taken some administrative action, like a warning letter, training, you know. It could be training of the officers if you feel they're inept. You must have taken some action, not show cause, some action. And we're asking, what action did you take to mitigate? Otherwise, when you're writing the report, the final report, then you might prescribe some of those things.
The officers have been warned, all of them. Those
have
who
been?
did that, they have been warned.
Okay.
The show cause
Point us to
letter,
the letters. Okay, center.
the show cause letter is a warning in itself because it goes on file.
Chair, there's some wisdom from our senior counsel here. You know, this thing about show cause letter. Now, once you write a show cause letter to a member of staff and they respond to it, should there be a decision based on that conversation? That I've given you a show cause letter, you have responded, and now this is your fate. Now we have forgiven you. I don't know. Does it just end with an exchange of letters? A show cause letter and
Governor's show cause letter an action in itself or an intent of an action. That you explain yourself. If you're not satisfied, then there will be some action.
Thank you, Chair. I think I'll allow the officers who...
You see?
Thank you, Chair. Apart from the show cause letters, Chair, the accountants and the people working with the financial statements, all of them have been taken to refresher courses with the Treasury and ISPAC. And even as we speak, Your Excellent Chair, there's still another team which is in Mombasa.
He's sitting there. He's sitting there.
Yeah, who are still undergoing the training, because this issue partly was because of the late submission, which the accountants later on submitted the documents and the queries were justified. The only issue is that they were submitted late. And part of the late of submission was because of the issues of ending in the financial year, and the accountant have already committed that they will keep time and they will be able to submit the documents in the required time. So once you issue the show cause letter and we feel that that officer has responded satisfactorily, unless he repeats the same crime again, then now we can take an extra step of taking him to the disciplinary committee for further action.
Chair, one would be interested to know whether the ONG flagged up that issue when you are doing some audit. So if you did, why do we have to waste our time on small things? I mean, why didn't you give those responses to the OAG? Then we shouldn't be doing some other things. OAG, did you flag up those issues during your interaction in the entity?
Thank you, Chair. When we are auditing, of course, we do start from the query. Somebody will query that this is not supported, and then we'll also write a management letter. We have a draft report, up to final report when it's being signed. So we ask for these documents.
That from the entity, I mean, we expect those things to have come up before you. We shouldn't be around those small issues.
So I think, members, we can look at the documents, the show cause letter, the responses, when we are writing our reports, and make a decision, so that don't belabor on this issue so much and look at other issues. Is that agreed? Senator Umogen.
See, the problem I have is that there is no follow-up action from management. You write a show cause letter, there is a response, then there should be a decision made, and then a communication is made to the officer. Either to tell the officer we received your response, we have seen you didn't comply with the law, so we are warning you not to repeat the same mistake again. But you can't get a response and then you leave it hanging.
So drinking from the wisdom of the senior counsel, there must have been some communication, and then also the the action by the CC is okay about the training, but then there's something lacking there. That after the officer has responded, then there's need for another correspondence to the officer.
Noted, Chair.
So you will do something within 7 days and give the auditor that particular communication to the officer in 7 days with a copy to the secretariat. Because when you're doing the reports, we'd have both of them. So directed. Auditor want to look at paragraph 3, lack of aging analysis for staff payables, and tie it to 2.0, that is on emphasis of matter, long outstanding pending bills. You can look at the two concurrently. You can start with the first one on lack of aging analysis. Do you have it now? What is still remaining? Just, I'm looking at what you've written here. Just tell us what is still outstanding.
Thank you, Chair. Based on the recommendation of the committee, of course, they were being able to provide a report, and that one we said it already implemented. They were able to provide a pending committee report. But there's an issue of where they were supposed to come up with a payment plan and submit it to control of budget, but we were not given such a plan, so that issue remains, the recommendation remains unaddressed. Then there's also an issue of they were trying to control our budget, and that write-up was not provided for audit. So we say the issue of that recommendations remain unaddressed. They were also supposed to give us a list of existing projects and evidence of adequate budgetary provision, and that was not also provided. And lastly, Chair, was conduct public participation. Management shall ensure strict adherence to this law. And this one also we were not.
I didn't get the last one.
There was an element of the fifth recommendation was county governments shall conduct public participation, and then management shall ensure strict adherence to this, and they were to provide evidence of public participation, but we were not given any.
Governor, you looked at the recommendations. What do you have to say?
Chair, I think the problem on this one is the same as the one for the previous one, that we did not submit the documents after we were here in Senate. But the documents are attached in this report. So the question of the pending bills, the provision of a payment plan, that is with the control of budget. And we've been paying every year since 2018.
What do you mean, Governor, it is with the control of budget? You're supposed to provide a payment plan.
To the control of budget.
Have you provided the payment plan?
To the control of budget, yes.
Yes. Auditor, did you want a copy of the payment plan to prove that action has been taken?
Chairman, that's what I'm saying. The issue is not, this problem of the auditor not having the documents will recur in every question, because there's no document we've given the auditor since the time we were here. We thought that we respond and bring them to Senate. So the question he's responding to as not being given does not mean the document is not there. It's just that we did not know we're supposed to have given them before coming here for this review. Okay?
So
I think I'm communicating.
Yeah, I'm getting you. That then now I would ask auditor, what type of engagement did you have with the executive? Because they required documents. You review the documents before our meeting today. If you had actually engaged, you must have asked for the payment plan. Now the governor is saying, we don't know if we are required to give the documents to the auditor. If we invited and engaged the governor, why is the governor saying that they have not given the documents to you, Senator Spooner?
But Chair, I'm wondering, does this committee have the power to close audit queries? The person who raised the audit query is the Auditor General, so that when you are supplying documents in response to even the conversations here in the Senate, if you send it to the Auditor General, to the control of budget, for instance, make sure that you send it to the Auditor General as well, so that when we sit here The Auditor General is the one we pose those questions to. We are like, have you seen it? So it is supposed to be straightforward, Governor, that the person who, the originator of the query, must be the one you satisfy. The rest of us are just downstream. Once they tell us that they are happy, the query is closed. Secondly, there is ongoing audits. I was doing my exit meetings last week before I went to the Jamboree in Mombasa with the Auditor General for the ODM party. If there are prior year matters that are raised during that particular conversation for this current financial year, they are the ones to satisfy. They're the ones to address those responses to, Governor. So really, if you send it to the control of budget, yet the originator of the question has not had sight of it, it will keep recurring.
I think then there's a miscommunication. We are responding here to a Senate follow-up matrix on the decisions made at Senate.
Yes.
We are not responding to the auditor because this question came from Senate. So what we did, we prepared for Senate.
I think the confusion is on your end.
Just let the governor.
The other times when we are going through normal audit, the auditors come to the county and audit, and we do management responses to the auditor. But this letter did not come from the auditor. I think the confusion comes from them because it's the first time we're doing follow-up of our a Senate hearing.
It's the first time. Yeah.
It's the first time. So we didn't know that we're supposed to do whatever the Senate provides us. We're supposed to go back to the auditor and then come back to the Senate. We assumed we prepare for Senate and come to the Senate. So that is where the miscommunication is, because then there should have, it should have been a bit clear that we clear with the Auditor General and then come back. We thought we were coming to report to the Senate.
Senator Spooner, then Senator Wambua.
Chair, there's only one way, Governor, an audit query is closed, and that is by the Auditor General, the originator of the query. We are not originators of the queries. In fact, the ones we make here are recommendations, you know? So if you have not provided documents, because they are the ones to do the verification. For instance, if you are required